y'all finish up getting the sign-ins, please. Again. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I move. Terry? Okay.
And can I have a second?
Okay.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Unanimous. Right. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from April 23rd?
Motion, so moved.
And second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Unanimous. We don't have the police here yet, but I think we have a city councilor update, don't we?
She just
Where'd
stepped
she go?
outside.
Shauna walked in.
The lady from the city's here, and India just walked out there with her.
Well,
Here she comes.
India, are you ready? Do you have a report for us?
I'm so ready.
The fences are going up and there's just a small section of the trail that's left to go. It's really coming along and looks great.
It is coming along. Hey everybody, India Bailey, Chief of Staff, Councilor Hunter Williams, for those of you who do not know me. I guess I'll start with the trail real quick, since Todd brought it up. We've had some rain days, as y'all know. We have, once we get a consecutive number of dry days, we have about half a day left worth of paving, and it will be completely paved. Once the paving's done, landscaping, cleanup, that kind of stuff is going to happen. The fences are not going as quickly as I would like for them to, but I've been told that they will be up when they're supposed to be up, so I'm just gonna go with that. But we're really excited, really hoping we can get some dry days so that we can get this trail open by the end of June. So excited about that. The progress is being made there. It was brought to our attention, I don't know if anybody here lives on Winston Way, I don't think so. Some citizen took it upon themselves to act as a BDOT employee and paint stripes on Winston Way. I know no one in here would ever do that, but if you know who it is, or if you have a neighbor who would like to take it upon themselves to do striping, please discourage them, because we have had to go out and fix that. That's really all the update I have. We have Alana Melton here who's going to speak about some of the homelessness issues. We are aware of what's going on at the Purple Onion, at the Winn-Dixie, up in Fairhaven, or behind Fairhaven also. We see all that up. So just wanted to quickly, yes, just wanted to quickly mention that we know about that. Actively trying to get some help to clean that up over here. Does anybody have any issues or questions or answers for me? I'm gonna take back. All right, well, real quick, if you need me, you have an issue, you do not have to wait until the next neighborhood meeting to report it. My number is 205-254-2348. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. And we've got a special guest, Alana Melton, from the Director of Unhoused Strategies, which is perfect timing since we've got an increase of homeless coming into the neighborhood. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
As been said, I'm Alana Melton, and I serve as director of a fairly new office for the city, Unhoused Strategies. We've been an office in existence since November of last year, and we've added staff just as recently as this year, so it's a small team of us working on the overall strategy of how to address the city's unhoused population. I am aware, and just recently been made aware of the Winn-Dixie situation. We did engage on the Purple Onion situation again earlier today.
Speaker, is that what
I don't know.
It does. No, but if you can speak up as much as possible.
That's helpful.
And what specifically happened with the purple onion? That's been going on a while.
I am not aware of what happened with the Purple Onion today. I just know I got it, and I engaged with police about it today. So it's private property, so it's actually, there's a process, right? So we have to contact the property owner and do all the things that are required by law to engage. We do have a street outreach team who had moved the folks along last time I was and offered them services. They are able to go and work, but again, the person has to say they want the help. Just really quick, high level, what we want to do in all 99 neighborhoods. Our office is specifically concerned with how do we kind of have two big rocks. How do we address the unhoused population that we currently have? Just really quickly, some strategies that we do have a website now, the city's webpage, and our roadmap, our strategic plan for homelessness is listed there. And I have my cards with this information as well. But for folks who are literally homeless, we have a couple goals. One is policy. There are currently really not a lot of laws in the city of Birmingham to help us with some of this stuff. So things that we're working on is a charitable feeding ordinance. It says folks can only feed in certain designated areas as a way of hopefully regaining control of our parks and some of the public spaces, so people can't feed in places maybe people won't continue to stay and hang in those places. Also, we've already introduced to the council a no camping on public spaces ordinance that will allow us to interact with people, particularly in our parks and on state right of way. Right now, we don't have any enforcement tools there. We also are working on some housing directly. We have a goal to, we have 500 people unhoused on our streets, like literally live outside. We have about 1,000 who are unhoused in Birmingham. Many of those folks are in a shelter or in a shelter program, but we have about 500, that sleep outside somewhere in Birmingham every night. And so our goal is to find housing options for that 500. To be chronically unhoused, that means I've been homeless for a year or more with either a mental health or some kind of physical diagnosis. We have 118 to 24-year-olds who are unhoused in Birmingham. That's separate from the 500. These are young people who have either run away, aged out of foster care, and then the other number that I like to keep in front of people's minds is in our Birmingham City schools. We finished the school year, we will finish the school year with 777 children who are without housing. That's not their non-school age siblings. That's not their, I just graduated from high school siblings, and that doesn't include their parents. So we know that number is well over 1,000. I say that to paint a picture to let you know, part of the strategy is that we absolutely care about what our neighborhoods are saying. We care about what our business is saying. We don't want businesses to feel like they're being chased away. We're in a church, but I had 2 meetings this past week with churches who are seeing people hide out behind their churches or in the bushes, or they interrupt service, or people on their way to services. We care about all of those things. Strategically, the way we think we handle that is by addressing those pockets of numbers that I told you. And so all of it is important, but we feel like if we provide housing plans for those numbers, we'll see these visible unhoused numbers decrease. So that no matter where you hear me speak, I'm gonna always say the answer to homelessness is housing. Is that we can't police our way out of it, we can't street outreach our way out of it. We're gonna have to create, and it's gonna take partnership. The city cannot do it alone. And as my first time ever being in this room and meeting you guys, I would also say conversation on where the city took general fund dollars and prioritized homelessness. This budget would make the second time. So while the issue didn't happen overnight, our office is literally being stood up overnight. And so patience and working together. So a lot of what I want to do is hear from you guys. I'm well aware now of the Winn-Dixie, and I'm well aware of the Purple Onion. I heard India say something different that I was not aware of. And so we can happy to hear or just more specific questions or very specific things you want to ask about. I will say also I brought this is my card with my contact information, but it also has some really what we think are our go-tos for reported numbers. So when it comes to moving from the street to home to housing, the answer is one roof, our continuum of care. So all of the shelters that we have in the area, they're federally funded through the continuum of care, and that's one roof. So if I'm unhoused, I can't get any permanent housing until I take what's called a housing assessment. So if you were to interact with somebody, you could call our office, but we're gonna have to call one roof too. So I would say there's a great place for somebody who wants help is gonna be through that housing assessment. We also put the main shelters on here, and then we put JBS Crisis Center. So if you see somebody that is in active psychosis or mental health outbursts, like JBS is a place that our police department can take them, and they're open 24 hours every day. And another bridge is Urban Alchemy. So Urban Alchemy, through their HEART program, operates our street outreach team. So a lot of the situations, especially when it's on public right away, or if you see somebody who is in distress, they're having a mental health episode, the Urban Alchemy number that's listed here, you can call them, and they can send somebody out in real time. And that's who we engaged when we were able to successfully get help for the person at Purple Onion. And again, we just engaged today. I have not gotten a follow up from police. I do not know how that played out today. And so anyway, we collected these as an answer to what do you do when somebody's in your face and they're asking for money or help. I would encourage you to not give money. And I know that's not popular, especially when I'm in a church where we are taught to give, right? But we can give the money that feels good and appeases the moment, or we can connect them to resources that gets them far beyond that moment. It may be uncomfortable, but we found by sometimes just knowing what you can do in the place of the dollar that's not going to go as like, man, that's uncomfortable. I don't want anybody to be in harm's way. Then reaching out to some of these agencies, and you really do feel a heart tug because you saw a family or somebody in distress. Man, I wanted to give to that person at the stoplight, as opposed to doing that. Pour it to these people. So as a city employee, I'm an advocate for everybody that's on here, and they all suffer. No matter how many times other municipalities or whoever bring their people to Birmingham and say they were resource rich, these people struggle for resources and could use your help. And the dollar that you gave in the corner could actually be a couple of meals if it went into their larger pot. So that is my shameless plug for our providers, who I do think are doing an awesome job, but there is so much more needed than there is resources. That's not an excuse, it's just the honest to God truth. So with that, I'll pass, and if there are questions for me, we can definitely, and I'll leave, can I leave these here?
Please.
Yes.
So you mentioned that the city of Birmingham
I'm
does.
gonna get my notes, so in case
Oh,
there's something,
sure.
yeah, tell me that I don't.
You mentioned that the city of Birmingham doesn't have the laws to help with the homeless problem that we have, whereas other communities, suburbs around Birmingham do have laws that don't let them congregate around and make the issues that we've seen around Birmingham. So the question is, how can residents petition? What's the process for residents to talk to the city to request them that they create laws so that we are like the suburbs that are surrounding Birmingham, so that we can kind of be protected from that like the suburbs are?
That's a really good question. Can you guys hear the question? Did y'all hear?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Full candor, I don't know that the suburbs have laws. I'm not aware of any.
They have
might.
ordinances. Yeah.
Right, and sometimes it's a practice too. I do know that Homewood passed the ordinance, and we've had a lot of talks with them about like it's a good and a bad. Like they've been very candid and willing to such actions like public intoxication, lewdness. We've seen everything from intercourse and politics, like those kinds of, like if someone's found to be doing something illegal, then absolutely, and we don't need a separate ordinance for that, right? Because anybody that's caught doing those things will be held accountable. And I think that's been some of the things that we've heard, especially from businesses, like how do we crack down on that? One thing that we've done that hadn't required an ordinance that's discriminatory is working with our park board to post the park hours. And so now you'll begin to notice that police will start clearing the parks at night, because the hours just needs to be posted so everybody can know. But those parks aren't getting cleared because of the unhoused. They would clear anybody that's in the park hours. So, but I think those kinds of things, happy to hear them so we can take them back.
Thank
I
you.
would love to be a first point of contact for anything like that that you have to share.
I have a suggestion, because I tried to contact the owner of the property at the Purple Onion, and they were not interested in helping out. They were very dismissive and rather rude. And so I'm wondering if once you bump up against that, you're probably running out of opportunities or ideas or ability to do something about it. But I would like to see the city council pull the license of properties that refuse to handle that.
Andy, you got that?
We're gonna start with y'all.
What do you mean?
Administration, we'll start there.
I will
Well,
say
that's not going against the homeless people at all. That doesn't do them.
that's
That's just going
anybody.
against delinquent property owners.
And so what I'll tell you, what we do, we have state law on our side. So what happens is when a property owner is derelict, is that our planning, engineering, and permits department will start the process. It is a little outdated. It is, it requires a paper trail, and the owner has like 30 days to respond, and then I think there's like an appeal that's another 30 days. So that whole process can take like 90 days on private property, honestly. And it works better, of course, if they'll at least pick up the phone. And then
Okay.
depending on what's happening, because environmental like liens can be placed and that kind of stuff that gets to your.
I'll follow up with Roderick and see what he says and report back next week.
Is that the
planning subdivision committee? That's what you said that that's where it's going to come from.
from that office though? But I'm gonna go back. We have a project manager that works with us on these properties. This is fairly new that they've assigned somebody who follows up on these properties. So I'm gonna reach out to them.
Great. I'll follow up with you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Super. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Good to see you.
You too.
Next, we've got a update from Tanner Parsons, president of the Crestline Park Community Foundation.
Is this fine or should I do it more centralized? Anybody
Can
hear
you
me?
speak up? Yeah.
Maybe move towards Marion.
I'll move up. I don't mind being in the center of attention. Alright, I'll give you a copy of this whenever. Good evening. For those who don't know me, my name is Tanner Parsons. I currently serve as the president of the Crestline Park Foundation Board. Our current members include myself, John Trott, David Burt, and Bartlett Walker. I appreciate the opportunity to address the neighborhood this evening and to provide a transparent explanation for the cancellation of the Crestline Park group event. The decision to cancel the event was driven by two primary factors: unsustainable budget overruns and a serious breakdown in board governance caused by repeated actions taken without board approval in disregard for established bylaws and board authority. Initial planning for the Crestline Park group was based on a $10,000 budget. As planning progressed, projected costs escalated to approximately $20,000 due to action taken by Todd Russell, then Vice President, who added additional musical acts and other expenses without board approval or consensus. It quickly became clear that the foundation could not responsibly raise the necessary funding in the short available time. Multiple pledge contributions were withdrawn or withheld due to serious concerns about Todd Russell's actions as president of the Crestline Park Neighborhood Association. Several donor entities explicitly stated that they would not support the Crestline Park Group or any future foundation events as long as Todd remained on the board. The barrier of funding continues to remain in place while Todd served as president of the Crestline Neighborhood Association. Beyond the issues already discussed, Todd's pattern of acting without full board consultation created additional problems for the foundation. Specific examples include the following: insisting on specific performers and a non-negotiable date of May 9th, while rejecting proposals to reduce the number of acts and adjust the schedules. Failing to follow through on fundraising or execution after the group agreed to cap the budget at $12,000 and remove one act. Claiming a binding agreement existed with Huck and Lilly despite the absence of any written confirmation. As Vice President, Todd lacked the authority under the foundation bylaws to bind the organization to such agreements. Contacting Kim Johnson to book Huck and Lilly and committing Stephen Knight in text messages to the Huck and Lilly as promoter before the full board had the opportunity to consider other options. Proposing a personal loan to the foundation for expenses the majority of the board did not support, despite clear direction that the foundation would not accept loans. Continuing to push for a full-scale event in the April 19th meeting after the majority of the board determined it was not feasible. Depositing personal funds into the foundation bank account and directing the treasurer to issue a check, an action violated by the bylaws $1,000 limit on discretionary spending per member created a potential compliant risk. Continuing to advance event planning after the board had decided to cancel the group, contrary to Todd's earlier statement that he wanted the president to make the final decision, which I have in text message. After Todd's resignation from the board, I received a notebook containing documents from prior board members. I reached out to former board members to gather complete historical information. I learned that an earlier board had submitted a group resignation letter in early December 2025. In that letter they stated, after careful deliberation, we have concluded that our perspectives no longer align sufficiently to enable collaboration moving forward. This information was never disclosed to the incoming board. I received a notebook containing documents from prior board members. I reached out to former board members to gather complete historical information. I learned that an earlier board had submitted a group resignation letter in early December 2025. The information was never disclosed to the incoming board. Todd, who was responsible for presenting the resignation to the board for formal acceptance and recording in the minutes as required under Robert's Rules of Order, never did so at our January 2026 meeting. The omission violated standard procedure and left the new board unaware of prior board's collective actions and the reasons behind it. Separately, when I contacted former board members, I learned that Todd had incorrectly established the foundation as a 501c4 instead of a 501c3. When this error was discovered by the board in December of 2024, Todd assured everyone that the cost would not be an issue because he would personally cover the setup costs as a donation, and that the board should not worry about the expense of converting to a 501c3. This information was particularly puzzling in light of his later request that the new board reimburse him for those same costs. Following Todd's resignation, he sent an email to the board requesting reimbursement of approximately $8,942.13 for expenses he claimed to have advanced out of his own pocket. Many of these items included $3,500 for Hook and Lily and a $5,000 Groove Festival deposit. Do not correspond to expenses approved in board minutes, or the financial limits previously agreed upon by the board. This request, viewed alongside the pattern of conduct outlined above, prevents a clear and serious conflict of interest. As president of the Crestline Neighborhood Association, Todd holds a position that requires impartial leadership, faithful stewardship of neighborhood resources. It is incompatible with that responsibility to simultaneously pursue substantial, unapproved reimbursement demands that would financially burden the very foundation established to serve and support this neighborhood. The concern is further illustrated by Todd's April 22nd, 2026 email to Whitney Mullen at the City of Birmingham, in which he stated that the Crestline Park Community Foundation would produce new neighborhood signs to advertise that the Crestline Park Community Foundation would produce new neighborhood yard signs to advertise the CNA meetings, thereby relieving the CNA of using its own funds. Todd's commitment was made without approval from the foundation board or the CNA members, even though the CNA had voted in January of 2025 to fund these signs through the neighborhood resources. The actions bypassed the governance processes of both organizations. These repeated actions without board approval violated section 3.9.2 of the bylaws, which states that the vice president shall not have the power to execute instruments or documents on behalf of the foundation except upon resolution of the board of directors. They also constituted repeated violation of board authority, providing good cause for removal under section 2.7.1 of the bylaws. Todd systematically undermined the core governance structure of the organization. Based on foregoing action, the other board members determined with good cause that good cause existed for Todd's removal. I approached him about the option of removal. Todd offered his resignation in lieu of the board having to take that unfortunate next step. This pattern of conduct demonstrates a consistent prioritization of personal preferences over the fiduciary duties owed to the foundation and the neighborhood it serves. It is regrettable that we must address these issues regarding Todd Russell, who currently serves as president of the Crestline Neighborhood Association. However, the board believes it is important for the community to understand what happened, the corrective actions we have taken, and how we are moving forward. I personally recovered the deposit from the promoter, Stephen Knight, that Todd paid with unapproved funds to ensure that the foundation would face no further legal or financial risk. Mr. Knight was very helpful in all coordinating all of this. As for the good news of the foundation, we're excited to announce that we're hosting on June 20th, Yoga in the Park, hosted by Ashley Anthony, who's a resident on the park. All you need to bring is a yoga mat, and we'll announce the times soon on that. and then we're in the early stages of planning a October 17th fundraising event for Amenity in the Park. And on that day, I think Alabama and Auburn are playing on the road. So we made sure to accommodate for that. And we've got a great planner. He's going to do a great job. So this is what the board needs to strengthen and sustain our work. Please consider helping the foundation achieve our goals. We need board members, financial contributions, and volunteers. Please reach out to me or our secretary, David Burke, for my contact information to get in touch with. Thank you for your continued support of the Crestline Park Community Foundation. I suspect you will have some questions. Before we open the floor, I motion that we turn the floor over to John Trott for his report.
Second. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're dealing with here is massive incompetence and self-serving issues. I can't say a lot because I've consulted an attorney as the treasurer of the foundation, but I will say this: I will make it my life's mission to remove this man from his post. And that's all I can say right now.
Alright, I guess I'll motion to open the floor for questions or comments.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So the money for the foundation that was donated by the neighborhood, did any of that funding get paid to Todd or to any vendors? And if so, do we recoup it?
We haven't received that money yet.
Okay. And is that money in like a bank account or?
I wish I knew. I don't know.
Are you talking about like for the signs?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Todd told Whitney Mullins that we didn't, that the foundation was gonna pay for the signs, so we
The
were.
foundation paid for the sign.
No,
No.
the foundation was told to
Todd-
Whitney Mullen that we would pay for the signs, but the foundation is not going to pay for the signs.
That was part of the list that we got from Mr. Russell asking us to reimburse. Even
Yes.
though he obligated us for it, it was never a board action to use that money. When our neighborhood association had already agreed to fund it.
Okay.
He took it upon himself to fund the signs and then sent us the bill
With
at the foundation.
money.
And he told Whitney Mullins, never mind, we don't need your money, the foundation's gonna do it.
And the invoice was paid after I asked Todd to resign, and we had already accepted the resignations.
Okay.
Well, let me just say one more thing, and I have to be careful here. The thing that's most disturbing is this community deserves a lot better than what we're getting from our neighborhood association. I've seen many, many people discouraged and disparaged. Mr. Bailey has been one of them. Things that were said that I knew were not true. Ricky Brooks, I have every minute, every text message, every email from this man and how he's operated, and it's gonna get fixed, and he's gonna leave. I promise you that.
For the foundation, it's me, Mr. John Trott, David Burke, and Bartlett Walker.
All of this information will be posted on the Neighborhood Association website from the minutes from this meeting, as well as on the foundation website, to be transparent.
So we did pay for the signs, foundation.
No, the foundation has not paid for the signs. I don't know who actually paid for them out of their own pocket, but Todd is asking us for money to pay for them. We're not going to pay that bill. That
So, I mean, looking at past history, who is policing the foundation doing what's right for the CNA? In my mind, they can do it. It was proven. They can go behind the CNA with we could vote 100 to nothing. And we would have no, recourse against the foundation to do something that's against the wishes of the CNA.
I would say the foundation and the association are separate entities, so we operate separate than the association anyway.
What's gonna change, Mr. Bailey, is transparency. That's the big
That's a
issue.
political word that.
Well,
they're-
but let me tell you how that's gonna work, is before anything is done that's gonna affect the community as a whole, it will be brought to the neighborhood association
Is that gonna
first.
be the bylaw?
Yeah, I mean, we'll-
Exactly,
Well,
and
okay.
I have those to be changed.
Yeah, we'll be coming in there every month to give updates, so we're not gonna go behind the neighborhood or anything like that. Like, we're really trying to serve the neighborhood and, add any kind of event or beautification or additions to the park that we can add.
I've lived in this neighborhood for 23 years, and this neighborhood deserves better than what it's getting, and that's a fact.
Doesn't the foundation have to have a budget and then that gets approved and discussed in this meeting?
In this meeting?
No.
No.
And I know,
No.
can I say something? I mean, this is just what I learned. I was part of the prior board that resigned, and I think there's even a prior board before that resigned. But it's my understanding Whitney Mullen, who is our new neighborhood rep, will come to the meetings, is my understanding. Again, another disagreement with Mr. Russell. But anyway, she would be the best one to explain this. And Flora explained this to me last year. The foundation is its own entity.
Yeah.
Has its own budget, has its own life and board. It can do it exists like parallel to
Yeah.
our neighborhood association. It can spend neighborhood association funds. It raises its own funds, and it can be a vendor of the city and get neighborhood association funds with the approval of the neighborhood association donated to the foundation. And I think Flora had indicated that was a really good way to facilitate getting money from the city. We tried to do that when we were on the board, but couldn't finish the process. We were missing paperwork from Tide. But that was highly encouraged by Flora for us to do that.
And any of that money could not happen unless there was a vote here first.
Correct.
Yeah.
So unless there's a vote here first, that money that's the first step of the process to make that happen.
So
And
for instance,
helping with the foundation, it came about because the city won't give us any of our money.
so Flora was a big proponent of setting up a foundation. I think a lot of neighborhoods have them. And according to her, and I don't know if India, you know anything about this, not to put you on the spot, but we could approve getting, I'm just gonna say like $5,000 for an event in the park and get it donated to get the NA, the Neighborhood Association, to approve funds that would be donated to the foundation. And it was, the way she explained it was a little bit easier way to use those funds, but to do that, the neighborhood would have to
Approve.
yeah.
So I think it was February or January, somebody can correct me, but the neighborhood voted to distribute funds to the foundation for the Crest Island Park Road, for the meeting
No.
night, and for.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, we did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
The Neighborhood Association
Okay.
approved a $3,500 donation,
Oh,
and
you're
it
right.
was split up between a Christmas time first responders
Yeah.
luncheon or dinner or whatever was going on there. I think there was $1,500 there. There was $1,000 that was going to support the groove that was
Yeah.
canceled, and then there was another, I think, a movie night that
Yeah.
was. But they approved the $3,500 simply because of the way things have gone. That money is still not available.
Well, that was approved by Hunter Williams' office,
No,
out of his
right,
discretionary
Right,
fund.
but
I
that
thought.
money has not been
Right.
released
Right,
with
but that-
all that's gone on.
But that wasn't neighborhood association funds, that was Hunter Williams' discretionary fund.
No,
Correct.
but we also voted to do some of our funds
Okay.
for that.
Yeah.
But Tad, to answer your question about how the money goes, so the sign situation that he just talked about, so we voted in January of 2025 to release money to get those signs printed that are right over there. Whitney reached out to Todd, I don't know, like, whatever the process was. Whitney was like, hey, who's your vendor? I'll get the signs printed for you. And then Todd unilaterally said, never mind, even though we all voted to release funds to pay for those signs, we don't need the city to pay for those signs anymore, and then obligated the foundation
Yeah.
with no vote to pay for that signs, and that's the whole part of the problem with that situation. But what should have happened is they filled out a form, they became a vendor, And then the city released the money to the foundation to pay for the signs. But now Todd said, we don't need your money, so we don't know who's gonna pay for those signs now. That's a part of the problem.
How many signs are there?
They're on the table.
How many signs are there, Todd?
25,
How much were they?
$350.
So we have to figure out who's gonna pay for that now.
Well, I mean, nobody.
Well, apparently they've been paid for.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
whoever paid for them is
Yeah.
eating that up, they didn't get approval
Yeah,
by the city, by the neighborhood association, or the foundation.
well,
I mean,
that was
that's
another
out
one
of-
of the
yeah,
actions of
yeah.
Mr. Russell.
I mean, you just
Never
don't do that.
discussed it with the board, with the foundation.
Yeah,
The city, or the neighborhood association agreed to fund it,
yeah,
but he just wanted to do it his way.
yeah.
I think the neighborhood association approved.
Yes, sir.
Apply it to the city, not to the foundation.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
right.
you're right.
That's correct. But it was discretionary funds from Hunter Williams.
Yeah, I understand that, but it wasn't gonna go to the foundation.
Yeah.
It was gonna go.
Right, that's correct.
Directly. And that's the way it should be.
Exactly.
Any other questions, comments? Alright,
How
thank
much
you.
money basically just went to waste for this?
How much money with the waste?
Yeah, basically, we
Not-
just threw out, we paid it whatever, and we're
Not
not
a
gonna see.
lot. I mean, we, foundationally expense wise, the only thing we've actually paid for was the trees in the park and the lunch for people. So not really a lot of money.
But the foundation never paid out of pocket any expenses for the event. It was all Todd.
That,
I mean, directly from the account.
Well,
Say
the money
that-
was
say-
paid to the promoter of
Yeah.
the $5,000, which was the retainer to
yeah,
get it done.
it was like 40.
The board never voted to do that.
Yeah,
He just called our treasurer at the time and said, this is what I need.
yeah.
And our treasurer just wrote him a check and not realizing,
Yeah.
the consequences.
But you got that back.
Yes,
We did, yeah. I will say I cut a personal check to Stephen Knight because he had already spent some of the money. And
well,
I
they had
wa-
already printed the sign.
Yeah, they had already printed signs and I wanted everything to be clean, no harm, no foul, so I cut a check to Stephen Knight for what he had already spent.
How much was that?
About $400.
So you paid $400 out of your pocket. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you, David. And still no police, so, any old business that anybody needs to bring up?
I don't have any old business. Am I allowed to ask
Sure.
a separate topic? I don't know if anybody has read on what's happening in Mount Brook Page about the flower thief.
Yes.
That's been going around, but I was hit by her today or last night, and curious if anybody knows who she is or what we can do about it.
She strikes every year. I read the same post every year.
She has, I don't know exactly who she is, but I've heard somebody knows somebody who knows who she is, and she does have a mental illness.
I've read that as well, and I certainly don't want anything to happen to her, but I also don't want to go spend money again and again on flowers that get stolen.
It's definitely a situation.
And this is in the city of Mountain Brook?
No, it's in Birmingham.
No, she goes to sometimes the city of Mount Brook, but I obviously don't live in Mount Brook. It was just on their Facebook page because I think she goes around Crestline Park and Crestline.
Because I've stopped planting, we have 2 planters, and I've stopped planting in my planters because she pokes around and vandalizes and takes stuff, and plants are expensive.
Yes.
Because to plant those 2 things, it's like $200. So every year I'm not gonna waste $200 because some lady decides to take a plant.
Yeah.
So it would be nice if we could figure out whoever she is, so that we could talk to her family and maybe ask her to stop stealing
Yeah.
our stuff, cause it's not chump
If
change.
anybody would like to discuss that, y'all can reach out to me personally, I'll give you the full story.
So can you talk to the family and get her to stop stealing our plants?
Yes.
Great.
There's a sign that's been missing on the park, going around tells the mileage. So, just hoping we can get a new sign for that. We just have a metal post that's been there for a while.
Do you have the 311 app?
No idea what that is.
There's a 311 app that allows you to take a picture of the problem, send it straight to Public Works, and we get it taken care of pretty quickly. I'll go out there and do it.
It actually works fairly well.
Okay.
Yeah, they turn around stuff surprisingly quickly.
I didn't catch where you said that sign is located, or.
It's in the park. There's like 2 signs that's supposed to tell you your mileage. It's like 3.5 laps is a mile. And one of
In
them.
the park.
It's around the track.
It's on the
Yeah.
track.
I think it's on the side.
Same thing. There's been like someone that stole a couple benches from the older gentleman that sits there.
Yeah,
I think
Bob.
people have
Those are nice
donated chairs, but I don't know if there's a possibility of putting something more hard in place for him, because there's a concrete chair on the other side.
We have a neighbor that's working with Parks and Recs to try to get some brand new stuff. It's
No,
gonna
along
be
the same
fun.
lines, we're in Alabama. I mean, a water fountain. I know the one that is, what's the park by the river? It's a nice area. Mountain Brook. What's it called? Jimson. Yeah, Jimson. They have a fantastic for like children, adults, and dogs. I don't know if that's that would probably be expensive, and I know funds are tight in South Lake, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Those are my 3 thoughts.
thank you. Anyone else?
I move from the adjourned meeting.
Thanks, Don. We're adjourned. Good night, everybody.